Welcome to another career series video from Life Skills Coaching Consultants. These videos are only one of the services that we offer to teenagers in high school. And we also have an online career selection workshop that you can sign up for by visiting lifeskillscoaching.co.ke or sending me an email, jackie@lifeskillscoaching.co.ke. Today, we are very privileged to have Maria with us, and I am going to invite Maria to tell us about her career. Maria, welcome, and thank you for agreeing to do this.
Thank you so much, Jackie.
Maria, could you please start by telling us what your current profession is?
My current profession, I'm a systemic psychotherapist. We are colloquially known as family therapists, but the official title is systemic psychotherapist.
Ah, okay. So how did you decide to become a systemic psychotherapist?
My journey was a bit long. It wasn't straightforward. So when I came into, I currently reside in the United Kingdom. So when I came into the UK, I came here to study nursing. So my first discipline is psychiatric nursing. So as part of your placements, when you're doing your nursing, you go and you visit different places so that you can grow an interest in, you can look and be interested and see what you're interested in doing. So I went round and I was initially interested in cognitive behavioral therapy. But what I found with CBT was that I felt restricted, that there were certain things that I needed to do in order for me to practice as a CBT psychotherapist. So I qualified as a nurse, and I was quite fortunate that one of the areas that I worked in as a nurse was in substance misuse. And that is where I found a family therapist. So this was now nearly 10 years into my career as a nurse. And so when I met the family therapist, what she was doing was she was supervising me because I was working with pregnant substance misusers. And so she was giving me supervision on how to work with couples who were using substances during pregnancy. So that is how I found out about family therapy. So what she did in supervision and in me observing her was the way she asked questions was just fascinating for me. So she would ask the male instead of the female, the impact of what the other was doing. And at that point I was like, wow, it was quite mind-blowing, and then that's when I started looking into family therapy. And for you to train as a family therapist, you have to have a first discipline, either in education or in nursing, in social care.
Oh, fantastic. Maria, I mean, that career sounds very fascinating. What do you do on a day-to-day basis?
We talk. It's really a talking profession, but the talking is not just talking. You're listening to what people are saying. So there is quite a misconception around what we do in therapy. So most of the time you find that people who come into therapy, yes, we have a cohort of people who need therapy, but people at times are coming because of the people around them. So when I say we are talking, that's exactly what we're doing. We are creating a space where someone can come in and unpick some of the challenges that they're experiencing in their life. So as a family therapist, we look at those challenges and we look at the different areas within which those challenges occur. And what I do is I ask questions, and it's within those questions that you find your own answers, because I have to make sure that I leave you skilled enough for you to deal with the same situation or a familiar situation if it does occur.
And who are you asking these questions, Maria?
The client. So the client, the person who comes into therapy. So those are the people that I'm asking the questions, that I'm having a conversation with. And yeah, so it's either, so what I do, so it's having those conversations in therapy, or in consultations. So at the current moment, I'm working in serious youth violence. So having consultations with practitioners who are going out to see families. So they bring in a case and I have a conversation using the same therapeutic tools that I would be using if I was in a one-to-one therapy session, so that what we do in that is we can open up someone's thinking, open up their meaning making, because as a family therapist, what you're inviting people to think about is their meaning making processes. How are you making sense of someone else's situation? How are you making sense of your own situation? And from that, what are the options for you in terms of your actions? How do we understand why people are making the choices that they're making within in their lives, really?
All right, thank you for that. Maria, you mentioned that one needs to have a first discipline or a prior discipline in order to become, a family therapist. But what qualities does one need in order to be successful at this job?
One of the challenges that I have found with regards to being a family therapist is that the training uses a white framework. So this is me bringing in race into this. And in it using a white framework, as a person, you then have to think about your own framework and the people who you are engaging with. And I think for me, that is where the difference is. That's where, that's the difference that makes a difference. Which part of yourself are you bringing in? So if you're using a white framework, how do you then ensure that that white framework fits for other families, for other colleagues, for other, individuals that you're seeing who are not white? So there is a lot that you have to do in terms of adapting, and connecting with the people that you're seeing. And I think for me, that is the skill that makes you a good therapist, because what people need when they come into therapy or when they come to consult is they need to feel safe. Because you are inviting people into a vulnerable place, into a vulnerable position, where some of the things that they find out about themselves, there might be things that they are aware of, but they're not comfortable with. So how do you allow them to go through that journey with you? So safety is one of the main things, one of the main skills that you'll have to create. And so that means you are adapting that wide framework that you have been trained in to meet the needs of the group and the cohort that you're working with.
Okay, and you mentioned safety, and I couldn't help but think about, your safety as a therapist, because I imagine that you are seeing people who are handling weighty issues.
Yeah.
How do you maintain your own sanity?
I have to have supervision regularly. So that is one of the requirements of my registration, that I have to go into supervision. And you'll find that because there's so many different disciplines in psychotherapy, some of them, they actually want you to be in therapy for you to continue practicing. But as a family therapist, it's not a requirement, but supervision is a requirement, because within supervision, you are also looking at yourself. You're also looking at your own meaning making. So you're also looking at your own ideas, where they're coming from and why you're doing what you're doing.
Okay. I'm going to take you back a little bit and ask you to describe your career trajectory. Maybe perhaps even start with what subjects did you study at high school? What did you then go to do after that? And, before you became a family therapist, because I understand that you did something else before you went into that.
My trajectory was never towards family therapy. So when I migrated from Zimbabwe, I was actually studying to be an accountant. So
I didn't expect that.
I know. But then, with whatever was going on in Zimbabwe, so I came and I studied nursing. And for me to train as a nurse, it's the usual 5 GCSEs, and then, so that's what I did. So I had GCSEs and A levels, and then I went and I did my 3-year. I did a diploma at that point. And when I did my diploma, because I've always been interested in education, it's something that has been instilled in me. So I then went and did a BSc in in mental health, nursing, but at that point I specialized in addictions. So I specialized in substance misuse and other addictions. And that's how I met the family therapist that I was working with.
Mm-hmm.
And then for you to train as a systemic psychotherapist, the first 2 years, it's a 4-year training program. So the first 2 years, anyone can do the first 2 years. And then the last 2 years, it's at master's level, and it's competitive interviewing for you to get into the last 2 years. And so just to go back a bit. So the first 2 years, what they're doing is they're introducing you to systemic ideas. They're introducing you to the frameworks, you know, that you use, the theories within family therapy. And then the last 2 years, you are now engaging in clinical practice, where you're actually seeing families and you are now applying those theories in practice. And we do that in small groups of about 3 or 4 with a qualified supervisor behind you. So you're actually being observed delivering training. So yeah, and that is the last 2 years. And then when you finish at those last 2 years, you then are awarded with a master's in systemic psychotherapy.
Oh, fantastic. It sounds like it's actually quite a lot of hard work before you get to where you are today.
It definitely is, yeah, a lot.
All right. And what has surprised you about your career, Maria?
There is so much, you know, there is so much, because when I went into training, there was an element of naivety as well with regards to how much I could do. So all I knew was that, yes, I can be a therapist, you know, and then going in, I then realized that you can actually be a coach as well. And so one of the things that I do is I'm a reflexive coach and I'm a tutor. Thought that, you know, the most you can do is offer therapy. So the training allows you to work as a coach, because as an executive coach, a lot of the skills that we have got and we are taught in family therapy, other coaches who are not psychological coaches, they are now coming and they're learning systemic ideas. So coaching is one of the things that I have learned. And consultancy, so you're able to consult with teams that are experiencing challenges, or teams that just want to do better and perform better. And then teaching as well. So I'm also a tutor. And yeah, and I've learned to also work outside of social care and the NHS, you know, the health sector, working in corporate world with my skills. So those are the things that have really surprised me in my career.
Oh, it's fantastic. So it looks like, I mean, there are very many opportunities to go into adjacent areas. Yes. In fact, as you are describing your work, I could already see some overlaps with what I do as a coach. Yes. Yes, so that's really fantastic. So Maria, as we wind up, I would like you to just imagine that there is a teenager in high school today, whether they are in the UK or in Zimbabwe or in Kenya, who is considering going into psychotherapy as a career. What advice would you give them?
It's having an interest in people, having an interest in understanding, because one of the main things with regards to being a therapist is listening to understand and not listening to respond. So if you're interested in that and you're interested in helping people to live a better life, in helping people to put themselves first, you know, so that they can look after their own emotional and mental health, because you can't give what you don't have. So once you're able to look at yourself, then you're able to look at other people and help them. So it's an interest in human beings and humanity, I think. That's what I would say.
Yes, fantastic. And I can hear that it also requires a high level of self-awareness, so that you know what you have that you can give to the other person.
Oh, yes.
All right.
Oh, yes.
Fantastic,
and I
Maria.
think for me, that's why in family therapy, they always require you to have a first discipline because it's all about life experiences. So you're taking in a lot of your own experiences and you're using them to move a conversation forward. You're using them to understand a situation. So those life experiences are so important.
Indeed. And I guess that also means that you shouldn't be in too much of a hurry to qualify, because you have to finish the first discipline and then go through all the other training to get to where you are today.
Yes, definitely, definitely.
Fantastic.
And through the competitive interviewing as well, what they're doing is they are culling. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, it's all right.
They are culling, and they're telling you whether you're ready or not, you know, for you to go through the training, because it is quite gruesome, because a lot of the things that you're doing is you're looking at yourself, you're being asked why you're doing what you're doing. So yes, a lot of self-awareness is expected, and you grow emotional intelligence as well during the training.
Fantastic. I mean, I too have learned a lot just from listening to you. Maria, thank you very much for agreeing to do this career video, which is one of the ways in which we at Life Skills Coaching Consultants are helping teenagers make good career decisions. I appreciate your time, Maria.
Thank you so much, Jackie.